Astros, baby. Astros YouTubers. Hang around, good show today.
The Wade and Carter Show is a paid programming, and KHMC Magic 95 assumes no responsibility for its content. And the Wade and Carter Show.
Fauci has no clue. Tyson, not talking chicken. More Arbery details. Twitter leading a new trend. All that and more coming up on today's Wade and Carter.
It's pretty good
Keeps
stuff.
me on my toes.
That's pretty good stuff, YouTube
Keeps me
people.
on my toes.
We do like a little preview now. That's burnt orange. Cookable
Rust.
That's what's on our national championship trophies.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
How are you this
I
morning?
am very well, thank
Good,
you.
good.
Still dripping wet.
Let's-
Dripping wet from the storm.
That's okay, though. Let's do this.
South Texas weather brought to you by Wade and Carter. It's going to be mostly cloudy today. 66 degrees right now, heading to a high of about 88. Kind of been looking at it, trying to find a way to glamorize it. The sun could poke out this afternoon, but the forecast, and we'll talk about the accuracy of weather people. The forecast is for showers the next 4 or 5 days, which is good.
It's good. We need it.
it.
That is the glamorization of this weather
And
forecast.
for those of you that aren't in South Texas, we have a habit down here because we encourage global warming. We use bulldozers and we push up all of our brush and we get it in big piles and then we burn it. And ever since man created fire, he's been deteriorating the ice packs. But we burn brush in South Texas, and most of our property owners now have these really rattlesnake friendly piles all over their properties, and it's time to get rid of it. So we need a good rain. Then we go out and put diesel on it, and then we light it, and then we make s'mores.
Then we stand around and
That's a fire. That's a fire.
roast hot dogs and make s'mores.
That's right. That's
Nothing like the diesel fumes on a s'more.
And a good
They
one
really get into that
give you a
marshmallow.
little buzz. The really good brush fires, they may burn for a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
And, it's going to sit there and smolder.
that's why we need the rain.
Yes, we need the rain.
So I got 1.2 inches at the 2-4, and to be honest, when I was surprised my rain gauge had that much this morning, because when I walked out to see how much rain we got last night, I walked in areas where typically if we would have got an inch of rain and it hadn't been as dry as it's been, I would have sloshed through a bunch of puddles.
Right. You get up, you're all
Nothing.
excited. You put on your rubber boots, and all you step in is dog poop.
Yes, that was it.
Not a puddle.
And a cow patty here and there. That was it. So
You
Glad we got some
reminded me
rain.
you remember Colonel Potter? Were you a MASH junkie?
I watched it. I wouldn't say I was a junkie, but I enjoyed the show.
I've seen them all. And when they brought Radar,
Well, you
I
watched them
watched
all
it in
when they
prime
were
time.
airing live.
I have a feeling that'll be a recurring theme today. Radar, when they got Colonel Potter, that horse, and he walked around behind it, slipped, and Radar goes, "Sorry, sir." And he goes, "Oh, son, for me, that's just a tiptoe through the tulips." It's beautiful.
Lacey Merriman checking in. David Rice, good morning. Natalie Mayer, Chris Conrad, Bobby Leister, Don Posey, Scott
morning, Judge.
Tomko, Christina Wise. There's the Iceman.
Ice.
It's an essay this morning.
Yeah, be safe.
Bobby Leister with the YouTube subscriber update. We're up to 49. We're
We're
almost at
growing.
50.
So in 3 years, we'll get to 1,000 at this rate. Sure would like for you folks to go over and subscribe.
Hey,
to
we've got
YouTube.
50 in a couple of weeks. That's not bad.
No, but it's all of our friends. It's not like people are discovering us from Saskatchewan. You
There's a
see
few
what-
names in there I don't recognize.
I don't know. I watched Homeland last night.
Did you?
I've been watching, and in this particular episode, a guy needs to get away, and he went and blah, 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 and they stopped short of the border, and he was going to cross over into Newfoundland. That's where he was going.
you can't go from the U.S. to Newfoundland.
That's what he said. He was going to go. Well, maybe there was a boat. They were going to try to get out into international waters and yada, yada, yada. He was going to Newfoundland somehow.
The only way you can get to Newfoundland would be because it's Newfoundland and Labrador.
You got to have a dog.
Labrador borders Quebec.
Well, what borders the U.S.?
Quebec, Ontario, New Brunswick.
See, I hated that.
Maybe
accurate.
I don't know if Nova Scotia does or not. I can't remember. I haven't looked at the map recently.
Nova Scotia,
No, Newfoundland does not
No
belong
go.
to the U.S. No.
Well, the episode ended and they had to wait an hour and a half for the guy to get there.
I mean, if he's just going to Newfoundland, he could go.
was
He
trying
could
to
get
get
there.
away.
Well, yeah, he could get there, but he's not just stepping across the border and, hey, I'm in Newfoundland.
He had a new passport.
I bet he did.
Yeah.
They didn't consult with me to see if that was going to be
Well, you
accurate.
should be the technical consultant.
I should be.
I wonder how many people
Put that on my
there
link. I should put that on my LinkedIn.
that you're a consultant, border consultant.
Consultant to the entertainment industry on all things Canada.
I like that. I do like that, actually. And you're as qualified as anybody.
I am.
Actually, probably are.
Except I'm probably more an expert in Western Canada since I've never been east of Regina.
I'm just going to let that one go. It's a family show.
It's
I'll let
capital
that one
city.
go.
That's the provincial capital of Saskatchewan.
Regina.
Regina.
I would just shorten that. Like, where are you from? China.
Well, technically.
What town is it? What's the suburb? Give me a suburb.
And China.
What province is it?
Saskatchewan.
I'm from Taint, Saskatchewan.
CWB, good morning, Lisa Poole.
Goodness. We're going to Hades. We're going down, people.
Marvin Mickers, James Kurth, Patrick Strauss, good morning.
Taint, Saskatchewan.
And almost 5 inches of rain in Quero yet.
Close to Uranus, Saskatchewan. Named after the planet.
There is a uranium city close.
Nice. Wow. Those crazy Canadians and their sense of humor. You know, they name their cities when they're drinking, which means pretty much
Yeah, that's why we have Medicine Hat. That's why you have Moose Jaw.
Moose Jaw.
Why you have Red Deer.
Unbelievable. We'll just let it go. There's Larry Leahy checking in.
Morning, Larry. There's Don Nicole.
Hi, T-Lat, you sweet thing.
Michael Jolly, Monica Jost, Lisa Poole, Scott Snow, Kathleen Berlanga, Paul Ebner, Amy Mundy, BJ Nelson. Look at them all coming in now. Coming in hot. Marty Stockbauer, Judge Posey, Johnny Houghton.
Amy Mundy and her husband and I, we all social distanced the other day at Sam's.
Oh, yeah?
Past them. Morning.
BJ Nelson says, move on. Move on.
Thanks, PJ. Good point. She's driving. She don't want to wreck.
No.
You know her. She's laughing. She don't want to like turn that thing into the ditch and have to call Alan.
Oh, Lord. Chris Conrad knows what I'm talking about. So does Johnny Houghton.
Right.
They know.
Lisa Poole says, sounds like China.
If J-Dub was in, he'd know what I'm talking about, too.
He'll be in a little while.
Speaking of China, President Trump, there was a bill issued by Marco Rubio that was introduced in, I guess, the Senate last fall that obviously got nowhere because the president had to basically issue an edict yesterday that the federal thrift savings plan can no longer invest in funds that heavily invest in China. And we're talking, these are federal retirement plans for federal employees, including our military.
Right. So you put your money in your government or other institution 401k, let's say, and your employer matches it. And then they employ a financial guy to go out and buy mutual funds and things to kind of diversify that money and secure it for you. Well, the government was investing heavily.
Yeah, we're talking billions and billions of dollars to prop up China.
Yeah, and the government was investing heavily in businesses in China. So they were buying stock from, say, Wu Hei telecommunications
yeah.
company who was studying 5G or whatever.
Huawei.
Yeah, we're
Close.
paying for these people to advance their technology, and they're unleashing viruses on us, and they're a political enemy of ours. How dumb was that? Why keep giving them American dollars to compete with us when they're then undercutting our prices on everything we do? I think it's a brilliant financial move by the president.
What's interesting is you could invest in Huawei, and this is a company that we won't allow in this country because of concerns of their espionage, the fact that it seems like all their products spy on us.
Right.
We ordered Canada to hold one of their executives as a spy.
And that didn't really get as much international play as you would think because they were right.
Yeah.
She was guilty. That's why. By the way, James Kirk points out, hey, not the matching funds. They were using our money, government employees' money, to invest in. They weren't even using the government's money. They were using their employees' money.
Yeah, these are the contributions to, yeah. So
you got to figure Canada isn't going to challenge China unless they're right.
They're not going to, well, and I don't know if they would have done it had there not been pressure from the U.S. to begin with.
Yeah, and some of our Canadian
because Trudeau just doesn't stand up to anybody. Let's be honest.
No, but he was.
Unless
the U.S. caught some flack over that.
Yeah, no, they did.
But she was guilty.
But I mean, Trudeau will only stand up to people who are infringing on his rights to do as he pleases.
Right, which is wear blackface in public.
Yeah.
J-Dub checks in from
J-Dub,
crisp and balmy, Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
So,
no doubt, it's got to be at least in the 20s up there today, Fahrenheit. I'm going to go with 5 Celsius today.
You're probably close because my cousin yesterday on Facebook was complaining that it was 39 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's
so, yeah, you're
ridiculous.
close.
Why do people live there? It can't be for just the Calgary Stampede or the football team.
And the Flames.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the Flames. Disappointing for decades.
Except in 89.
Right. That's
one at all.
It's like being a Cowboys fan. Remember when we were great with Troy Aikman? That was before Quincy Carter, people. That was before Quincy. That's how old we're getting.
So, yeah, no, I think it was a good move by the president to finally say, done.
I do too. I think the president's made, in the midst of all this chaotic lunacy, the president's made some really stellar decisions. And it does trouble me. I've got intelligent, and it's not that as I've gotten older, I've gotten any smarter. I don't believe that. But I've got intelligent friends.
You surrounded yourself with smarter people.
I hope so. And I hope that y'all do that too. But I'll tell you that.
Sans me.
Well, those of you that are listening to the show, you're surrounding yourself with smarter people. We appreciate that. Good morning, Torn Bales. I feel like there's people that I know and respect, and I know that they're intellectual, who just despise this president. I mean, vehemently, this lying idiot, bonehead, dunce, Donald Trump's a complete failure. And I'm like, really?
He cheats. He assaults women.
No, not Biden. Trump. We're talking about Trump.
He's a swindler. He uses his position to benefit him and his family.
Biden.
Those are all the complaints they have against Trump, and yet they go and if you support Trump, you're every one of those things. You're a misogynist. You're a sexual assaulter. You're a racist. You're a homophobe. You're a xenophobe. I mean, you put it all together, they'll give you every phobe you can be, or just
and
you
it's
can be.
All Donald Trump, worst guy on the planet. Yet Michael Cloud, our local friend and a fine Christian guy, goes, I flew with him for 2 hours back to D.C. He was the nicest individual. Asked about my family, knew who my wife was. Sure, he was briefed. That's what he does.
But he remembers it.
He remembers it.
But here's the interesting thing. all the same accusations that they don't like President Trump for.
Biden's guilty of.
Well, he may not be guilty of, but he's certainly been accused of all the same activities and similar behavior, yet they excuse it.
And he gets
Because
a
he
pass.
fits their political agenda, their political side of the aisle.
Right.
So
and he's not Trump.
So it's okay. It's okay at that point. If you're a Democrat and you stick your fingers inside a woman without her wanting you to do so, you use your position as vice president to pressure Russia into firing somebody looking into your son. Your son sits on a board of a company that just happens to make millions of dollars from China after you two fly over there for some visit.
Right. On taxpayer dollars.
It's all fine. It's good. Oh, yeah, no problem.
But I have to tell you something. Yesterday, I watched a video. George Stephanopoulos, to me, left winger. That's what I think.
Well, I mean, you want any further proof, and this is kind of where the mainstream media died for me. When you take the guy who was the White House press secretary or something along those lines under the Obama administration, and ABC hires him to be a correspondent, and a guy you've just taken the fox and threw him into the henhouse.
Bye to the CBSI. Anyway, so here's my deal. George Stephanopoulos is talking to Joe Biden, and he asks Joe Biden, were you aware that the Obama administration was going to investigate General Flynn? And he says, no. And then he immediately goes into this deal. Now, by the way, Biden is starting to look a little gaunt to me, and his eyes are a little bit back in his head. Now, I'm not being silly here. He's not a drinker. He's not an alcoholic, but he looks
his
to
nose
me.
isn't growing and getting
I'm
big.
not going to be surprised. I'm not exaggerating, people, if we find out that Joe Biden has like an inoperable brain tumor. And I'm not being funny. I'm not trying to get a chuckle. I'm telling you, the man is not well. And they immediately, Biden says, that's what this president does. He diverts. He just won't answer the questions. And he goes down this like 3-minute deal. The country is in turmoil. We have health problems. We have plagues, pandemics, blah, blah, blah. And this president won't answer the question. And George Stephanopoulos said, Mr. Vice President, I'm going to press again and ask you. He ignored all that. Did you know that the administration was looking into General Flynn? And Biden said, yes, I was briefed on that. I thought you asked me if I initiated the investigation against Flynn. What? Like, where did that come from, Creepy Joe? The guy is seriously mentally compromised.
Or he changed up the question that he had prepped Biden that he was going to ask him.
It is unfathomable. She says, please, Adam Shooter says, please define gaunt. What I mean is like his face is like drawn, like his head is starting to be shaped like a light bulb. He really is to me, folks. I'm not being,
Maybe he's an alien.
Well, I would believe that more than I would believe he's a Democrat.
It's kind of always been the shape of aliens' heads when people describe
He
them.
literally has that withdrawn
Sickly look.
He does. Do you not agree? I mean, because it's not.
Something's off.
I'm not anti-Biden. I would go so far as to say
he's hiding. I mean, you're the Democrat front runner, and yes, we're supposed to be social distancing and not doing anything, but he's really been nowhere. This is the time where you could. I mean, think about it. With all the technology today, this is the time Biden could really be crafting his message, put out small sound bites, and not look like the buffoon who doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, that he's coming across because he keeps doing these stupid interviews that he probably, if he had somebody who knew what they were doing, he wouldn't be doing these interviews. He'd be doing crafted, calculated sound bites, pushing them out there on social media.
It's not working. They're grasping because they know, folks, the Democrats are going to get hammered in November. Biden has absolutely no chance.
And I'm not a conspiracy theorist when it comes to this to the COVID, but I'm starting to believe that when you look at what Pelosi just introduced in the House, her new plan, they don't want this economy to come back before November.
No,
I'm
they wanna
absolutely
break it.
convinced the Dems are now politicizing the economy and the virus to absolutely destroy
Yes.
the economy. And when you look at the numbers they're talking about, we're getting dangerously close into Green New Deal dollars.
No doubt, no doubt. It's absolutely the case. And they want to completely devalue our currency to the point that we turn around and say, well, hey, one world government's not such a bad idea. We can all pull together. We can all get through this global pandemic together. Let's all unite. And we'll all have, one currency, and we'll do all these things together. That's what I think they're after. It's crazy.
Speaking of together,
Tell me.
if you need to get it together because you're on the side of the road, Allen's Wrecker Service,
A little
578-6300.
A little forced, but it works. 578-6300, that's Allen's Wrecker Service. If you've got it all together and you want to control it with one remote control, call the VCS companies. Surround sound, television, AC, you can put all kinds of stuff on their controllers.
I made a service call Tuesday, late Monday, and they were out there first thing Tuesday morning to come look at a mess that I created.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't send that picture to JR, but I will. But did they come out and hook you up?
Yeah, it's all fixed up.
Unbelievable.
Yep. I didn't even know they were there. I got a text from JR Perez saying, "Hey, everything's good, back to normal."
There you go.
Appreciate it. That's how quick they are.
The VCS companies, Rocket Oilfield Services, and the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer, all part of the Hartman Communications empire. Kerr Boulevard, just inside the loop off of Main. Give them a call. They do all kinds of projects, things you wouldn't think of. If a school district's putting in a new gym, they may install all of the emergency lighting exits and all of the speakers and all the sensors and the thermostats, all that stuff. That's what they do. And they're absolutely the best of the best, no doubt about it.
We say the best in this region, but they do work all over because they're that good. People want them to work on projects. So
absolutely.
It's phenomenal.
Chesnick Furniture Company, probably best in this region. Been here 100 years. Everybody knows Chesnick.
Yeah. You don't last 100 years if you're not the best at what you're doing.
Right.
No chance.
Well, we're 4 years into this show. We're barely hanging on.
Yeah.
So think about that.
I mean, think about it. What do they usually say when someone gets to be 100 years old? Must be good genes.
Well, the other thing you find a lot of times.
Good business genes at Chesnick.
And I know some of the folks listening can relate to this. Granddad starts the company. Dad builds it up. The third generation screws it up. That happens all the time.
Not in this case.
Usually the dad's fairly successful and the grandkid's spoiled and just takes and takes and takes. But Bobby Leon has taken that business to new heights. They're down there at the corner of Juan Lynn and Bridge, 116 West Juan Lynn. And you can go in and talk to Bobby. You can ask him for advice. He's seen it all. They'll deliver furniture. It's half off. They also have
accoutrement.
Yes. Bedding, Tempur-Pedic bedding.
No, I had a good discussion with Bobby about it. And they have the brands that they carry because they believe in those brands. After 100 years, they feel it's the best furniture that they can deliver.
Bobby knew Ethan Allen. I'm just saying. He did. Back in the day. SCT Building Systems, Clayton and Casey Help.
564-8864 from start to finish to make it all look good.
They'll do your landscaping. They'll do it all. Pour the slab, put up the steel, clad it, finish it out inside, whatever you need done.
The purlin.
The red iron and purlin. That's what it is. Just me. Tech Talk with Uncle Brent.
Jargon.
Reach out to him, 564-8864. That's Clayton's cell number. I'd love for you to call him right now. It's like 7:20 in the morning.
Wake him up. Tell him Wade and Carter told me to wake you up.
Yep, do it.
Doug Ellisor, there's Cop checking in. Randy Langston, good morning.
Good morning, Doug. Hope you're doing good. There's Christy Henry.
Morning, Christy.
She's in Bernie.
She's up Bernie, yeah.
Good job. I heard it was raining in Bernie yesterday.
Yeah,
there's a gnat in here.
Yeah, Natalie Myers, they got 5 inches in Cuero. Or somebody had said that this morning. So Good. We needed it.
Wow, oil just comes bubbling out of the ground when that happens.
Yeah. It's slick because, all the water don't mix at that point, but just be careful. You're not like Colonel Potter slipping on a road apple.
So T-Lat last night comes in. We had a quick workout. She takes some Genio. We get the medium. One's dark meat. It's got more fat. One's just white meat. It's got no fat hardly. Then we get the middle. We get the mid-grade.
Yep.
Medium unleaded. Unleaded plus. We don't get the premium.
No, 91 octane.
Yeah. So she takes some garlic and some secret stuff she does and some Worcestershire, and we make meatballs. And I'm just trying to watch, Something could happen to her. I'd like to carry on. I'd like to be able to cook. She'll probably outlive me. Anyway.
Actuarially, yes.
She has this, observably. I mean, she looks like a kid. And I'm like, hey, get my walker.
You're starting to resemble Joe Biden.
She puts these, I do sniff her hair a lot. They put these meatballs, she puts them in there and gets a little olive oil there, coconut oil, and she kind of rolls them around. And I'm just watching this thing. And at the end, she looks at me and asks the now known as rhetorical question, would you like some gravy? Would you like, she sounded like an old Southern woman. Excuse me, I know you got your colors and your little coloring book right now, but would you like some gravy with your meatballs? And I said,
white or brown?
I was like, yes. Like, no, she's going to say, no, fat man, you can't have that. She got some kind of almond flour. No, she got flour, regular flour. She made this gravy that by the time we were done, it was kind of like spackling. It was real thick, good cream. Oh, Ash. Unbelievable. We had mixed vegetables with that cauliflower, broccoli, and some carrots to kind of offset.
Yeah.
They were unbelievable. And you don't realize, and I'm not saying this is, some people just really love ground turkey. You don't realize you're eating turkey. It was like eating a beef meatball. Yeah. It was fantastic.
Only thing I've ever found with turkey burgers, they're a little drier.
They can be. Yeah. That's why you have to have a Molson Golden with that.
That was the beer we exported.
Right. Isn't that right? I have friends that are Australian. They go, really? You guys drink the Foster?
Yeah. No.
That sounded like a German. I'm sorry. Yeah. Nobody drinks Foster in
no. Nobody drinks Corona in Mexico.
No, that's right. No. Pacifico Light. For those days when you're going to have 37 of them.
That's every day you're down there.
You have to be light. You can't drink the water, folks. You've got to drink beer.
Yeah, for sure. Well, if you do drink the water, it's the Topo Chico.
Oh, yeah. Torrin Bale's big fan of Topo Chico. Yeah. Coca-Cola bought them. Might be one of the greatest moves ever. As the U.S. becomes more and more Latin, Coca-Cola now owns Topo Chico. Think about that. It's brilliant.
Larry Lay says one statistic he would love to see is the death rate last year per capita compared to this year. Well, I don't know there's going to be any difference, to be honest.
Because turkey meatballs here, bud.
Well, if you don't eat enough of those, you might. But to answer his question, I don't know that there's going to be a significant difference. No. We've had.
It's not affected by COVID. When they tell
not significantly.
No. When they tell you that 12,000 people died in New York, let me tell you something, folks. 12,000 people die in New York every day. There's 13 million people up there. I bet you they do. I'll bet you they do. Get your phone out and start looking. I can remember being amazed at the stats.
It's 32 degrees in Calgary. There just answered your question.
The stats of it was unbelievable how many people, World War II veterans, were dying at a just ridiculous rate of like 15,000 a day in the country. And of course, they all reach that certain age. Well, when you get to a population, I think the average age in New York is what?
I don't know. I don't see that many old people when I'm in New York.
That's because they're dying. They're dying on a regular basis up there. I'm telling you. I sounded like Barney Fife. I'm telling you, Ange, they're dying. Yeah. Can I have my bullet? Unbelievable.
CWB, now that they're hiring people for tracing, is the future diagnosis of any disease labeled as COVID-19? Question, no super stop vaccine shot for me, just hydrochloroquine.
Have
Thank
you
you.
heard this? That they're setting up these task forces, 500.
Yeah, we reported that yesterday.
What was it, billion?
I don't know what the number was, to be honest.
To get started. And their job is to track
Civilian,
anything.
yeah, this is like the Peace Corps for this.
Now more than ever, we need more government employees. That's all that is.
It goes right along with another $3 trillion and
The new Green Deal.
yep, no, this is putting
Or the
people,
Green New Deal.
this is putting people to work. I mean, there's several ways to accomplish what they want to, and giving people government jobs is a way to make sure that they're relying on the government.
So what do you make of the idea that unemployment could reach heights that could leave? And I don't know when they're, the news is reporting this, and I don't know when they're thinking this is.
James
gonna
Kerr
end.
has a valid point. There's the reason I don't see old people in New York, they all moved to Florida.
Good point. You wonder when, though, the media says this could leave up to 14 million Americans unemployed long term. Now, that would mean that when this ends, they're unemployed. I think you're just going to see a continual flowing deal. A lot of companies, folks, are determining that some of their most productive people work best from home. And they're also learning that, hey, we don't really need Fred. Fred ain't doing much. Don't be a Dave. Dave, we don't need Dave anymore. Dave's gone. And when that happens,
I think there's going to be some of that. But I think on the flip side, I think businesses are going to realize, you know what? We don't need 18 million square feet of office space for our company when half our employees can do just as much work from home. Companies are going to become leaner, and they may not cut staff, but people are going to work from home. And I think you might see a glut of corporate office space in some big cities.
Remember when we reported that the teacher retirement system and all that was going to lease, like, pick a number, $3 million a year worth of real estate in downtown Austin? Aren't they glad they backed out of that? Since nobody's working in an office in downtown Austin. Think about that, Ash. They were taking over a huge amount of square footage.
Yeah. Well, I always found it interesting is some of these .coms and companies like Facebook have huge office buildings like Google.
Right.
Yet they've always championed everybody else to work from home. Their technology is there so you can work from home. But they have these huge kingdoms where they need all their employees at every day.
Exactly. It's just for
isn't it? It's kind of it's hypocrisy for
right.
one thing.
They talk about how,
but it's interesting how they keep telling everybody else how they should live, and yet they don't. It's not good for them. But I think
they call that being a Democrat.
I think you're going to see that, and Twitter may be one of the first ones to lead that trend. They've decided that on a permanent basis, those who want to work from home will be able to, as long as they can functionally do their job from home.
Yeah.
And I think that might be one of the, I hate to use the term because I think we were heading this way anyway, so I'm not going to use it. But I think COVID might have expedited the process of getting there and allowing people to work from home rather than at an office when your job allows you to do
well, we hate it. They call it the new normal. It's really a dumb phrase. And it's like, it is. It's dumb. The new normal.
That, quarantine, and social distance. 3 words that at the end of this year, I hope go away like they always have that list every year.
There's one more.
Biden?
Speaking moistly.
That one can't ever go away.
Speaking moistly must go. Tell you what, today is Wednesday. It's called a Wednesday. Reach out to Veracruz Restaurant. Veracruz, right there on the Vero, across from Atzenhofer. If you'll get over there today, they'll bring it to your curb. You can pay for it over the phone. You don't have to touch anybody. They're still social distancing quite well. Reach out to Veracruz and let them bring your lunch, your dinner. Do both. Go by and pick up lunch today. Go home. Take home also an enchilada casserole. If you don't eat it today, throw it in the oven tomorrow. It is just terrific.
You'll get plenty of food for a couple of days. Easy.
576-6015. That's the number for Veracruz. They'll take your order over the phone. They'll take it anytime after about 10:30 in the morning. You can place an order for dinner and say, I'll be there at 5, and you can go pick it up at 5. 576-6015. Razor IT Solutions, JP Hull. Visited with him after the show yesterday and told him thanks for calling in. He said he had a good time. I told him we always want to make sure we represent you well. And he said that we were doing a good job. So that's what JP does.
That's why he called in and checked on us yesterday.
Yeah, he studies your analytics. He
We're doing
studies
such a good job. He's got to monitor us daily.
check on the boys. he checks on who is viewing your webpage, what they're seeing. He can help you with your content. He can help you build a brand. JP Hull and the folks at Razor IT Solutions are ready to work for you. The Adson Offer dealerships, we talk about them every day. They're quite simply Victoria's dealership. Since 1926, Tommy Taylor and his family have been bringing you Chevys, most recently Cadillacs, Mazdas, Mitsubishis, and they carry all types of pre-owned vehicles. They've got the world's best paint and body shop.
If you want a vehicle and it's not on their lot, they will go get it for you.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, you can do it all online right now, all the way through the credit process and the purchasing of the vehicle. You can say, I'll be there at 4:30, have it running with the AC on, and you can leave your trade and get in and drive off. It is that easy. Call
It
them.
really is. AdsonOffer.com.
They are tired of looking.
You don't have
If
to
those
call.
trucks-
Reach out via
There you go. Don't even
the
call them.
web. Telecommute.
What they did is they fired all their salespeople, and now they're selling them cheap. Tommy answers every email personally. I jest. White Trash Services, tell you what, they have more people because they're growing.
Well, there's no way you can take your trash and send it over the internet to the dump. Just not going to happen. There are some services that will essentially always be human contact, human provided, and White Trash Services is one of them.
We're studying the history of trash. BJ,
I'm on to chapter 2 of The Garbage Man.
there you go. And I'm telling you
A
what,
YouTube video about it. Check it out.
550-1826. That's the number to call if you need service in the county. I'll tell you, somebody told
You
me
think
the
they
other day-
named Lake McQueenie after BJ Nelson?
because she was the queen.
Yes. Or no, that would be Lake McBossy because she's the boss.
Right. Lake El Jefe. They yesterday somebody sent me a private message and said, hey, I had the other service in town that wasn't in the city, and said ditched them. I ditched them and got a hold of White Trash Services.
Clayton Meyer says we don't upload our trash to the cloud.
No, well, yeah, not our literal
No.
trash, but I know exactly what you're saying. So we'll stop there. We don't need any more break
No,
right now.
not right now.
If you've been watching this, and how many of you folks, I'm curious if you get this in the day-to-day, the Ahmaud Arbery story, the young man, 25 years old, allegedly jogging. The video I saw said that he was jogging.
His mom said he was jogging. I mean, the only one that could ever dispute that's no longer here to tell us whether or not he was.
He's
And-
running down a street, and there's a man running down the street. There's a truck parked in the street, maybe 100 yards in front of him. And we're watching this from a dash cam of a car behind him, who is now a person of interest. And Ahmaud runs, and the truck's in the middle of the street, and he starts to go around it. And he comes back around this way, and a guy gets out, and the man has a shotgun. And Ahmaud, unbeknownst to me, you can't hear why, but he attempts to take the shotgun from the man, and you hear the gun go off. Subsequently goes off 3 times, and Mr. Arbery is laying dead in the street. I've been following this on Twitter because it's a free speech world, and you read everything that everybody says. And I have read people say, well, the jogger initiated the contact. If he wouldn't have done that, he wouldn't have gotten shot. There were people that said, oh, did you know that he's on video walking through a home that was under construction?
Yeah.
He's a thief, and they were trying to citizens arrest him. I've read that he was a good kid, and then I read that he once took a gun to school. And I told Ash, I said, at the end of the day, forgetting the fact, because we have a theory, a stereotype theory about all of these situations.
Yeah, we went through those on Friday. I
Yeah,
believe.
whatever this guy's doing probably didn't merit the citizen's death penalty.
I wouldn't even qualify it with probably.
Yeah,
He didn't.
He didn't need to die. And I just
If
think,
he stole a hammer, if he stole a circular saw, which there was no proof of any of that,
right,
but even if he did, that doesn't warrant death by shotgun in the middle of a street by a couple of clowns trying to make a citizen's arrest.
who admit they did not see him do that. They determined that Mr. Arbery looked a lot like.
Well, I believe
Someone who
one of
had
them
been
made the
alleged.
911 call saying they had seen him in a house.
Right.
This was a video that I saw yesterday from a police officer, a black police officer, by the way. He was laying out the facts, and I thought did so very well and didn't really get into anything. He's a former police officer and went deep into Georgia law as how it applied almost in every situation so far that the case, as step by step through the facts that we know.
Right.
Or in some cases don't know that I learned yesterday, but regardless of all that, the actions of Mr. Arbery, if he was doing something that he shouldn't have been doing, did not merit being gunned down
In the street.
in the middle of a street for what he was doing. At the very worst, because I've seen some people, well, he stole a hammer. Oh my God, he stole a hammer.
If he did.
If he did. But at the very worst, according to Georgia law, which I learned yesterday, he was in a dwelling that he wasn't invited to be in, unoccupied, vacant, or occupied, or otherwise. It's still trespass and could be a felony if he committed a crime in the act of it, whatever. He was trespassing, and it wasn't in their home.
Yeah, I agree. What I find interesting is that Adam Sugar told me to quit frowning. I'm not really frowning. The lights, now that we're a huge international sensation on YouTube, the lights for the studio here are quite bright, and I just think it'd be rude to wear shades during the show.
If you wore shades during the show, it'd be Wade and Shaw real fast.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You can't do that because you need eye contact on radio. I just find it interesting that we've talked about the idea that had this been two white guys shooting a white guy, you'd have never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
If it had been two black guys shooting a white jogger, they'd already be in jail.
They'd be in jail and probably already tried for capital
Right.
murder and
They would have
convicted.
already committed suicide in the Georgia jail.
Only if there was connection to the Clintons.
If it was black on black,
We'd
we
never
just
hear
called
about
it just gangland shooting in South Georgia. But because it was two white guys shooting a black guy, it's all of a sudden self-defense. That's what they call it. And I'm sorry, that I'm not even saying that's racism. I'm saying that's just systemic failure. That's just the system failing. You have to look at, there was a man, there were two men. They had guns, they had a car. I mean, it's not black, white. It shouldn't matter as you look at what happened. He was allegedly carrying a hammer that didn't belong to him. Could it be he had been threatened by these men before and picked up a hammer to maybe defend himself in the event that one of them, clearly he brought a hammer to a gunfight. It didn't work. I don't know. Interesting times. And again, something else that I'm thankful for that we don't have much of here in Victoria.
But the other thing, this is really shows you how the mainstream media drives the narrative in this country.
No doubt.
I mean,
CNN would have been all over this. The tragic racism of Georgia.
If
not
not
for COVID.
If not for COVID and the opportunity to bash the president on a daily basis, this crime would have been front and center when it happened in February, not as it came to light in May, because somebody finally started making enough noise to get it the attention that it probably deserves and needs to get where we are with these two guys, where these two guys finally got arrested and charged.
Adam Doctor makes a great point. If someone lunges at me when I have a gun, I fear for my life. I understand that. But if you walk out in the street and a guy lunges at you because he's afraid for his life and you shoot him, you may be a murderer. BJ Nelson says facial hair is covering your smile. I think she wants us to shave, and I think she better talk to Dawn. I don't think that's going to go down the way she may be thinking. But
So, yeah, I mean, this, where's the global warming talk?
oh,
Where's
that
climate
doesn't matter.
change?
We're
I mean,
all dying of COVID. It doesn't matter about the ice caps anymore.
You keep,
Smoke them up. It's okay.
well, and you heard a little bit a small rumbling the air cleared in LA and they can
Yeah.
see the sun. And
That's all it
You
takes
know?
is 2 weeks and everything goes back to normal. If we died tomorrow, have you ever seen that show where they take you to places that used to be inhabited? There's just ivy growing over the buildings. It happens in a matter of about a decade.
Yeah.
The earth is a much stronger
except
organism.
places like Chernobyl, stuff starts growing, but the radiation's still there.
Trees with 3 eyes.
Yeah, there was a guy. He'd been studying what happened in the aftermath of Chernobyl, and I
He
don't know if
died.
I have cancer.
Burn
Yeah,
them up.
imagine that. Bill Schaefer checking in. Patrick Strauss is an interesting comment. He says, "You want to know what goes on in Victoria serving a grand jury? It's scary."
Yeah,
I don't doubt it.
that's true.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Michael Jolly Soto's still only 21.
Soto is still 21.
Yeah.
Forever 21. He now owns that chain.
BJ Nelson says she did that about 4 years ago and says it was eye-opening.
I'm glad she's talking about serving on a grand jury and not shaving her beard.
Yeah. Randy Langston says Greta's not impressed with me. That's all right. How dare I? There's somebody else who hasn't been able to do anything because she's been quarantined at home. I mean, again, if she was so concerned about the environment and saving the world, why isn't she taking this opportunity to use social media
I don't know.
to get out into the world tomorrow?
No, maybe today. I'd like for to call today. Let's
So-
take a quick break
Okay.
and wrap up and tell you, hey, look, folks, wind generators right now, it's almost storm season. It's a great time to buy a home generator, period. Second of all, you can now also attach solar panels that go to a battery pack, all coordinated through your Generac program. Generac has manufactured in America and has perfected the battery pack storage unit for your solar panels. Went is your go-to for that. Give them a call, get an estimate, understand better what it does. I was at Carl's office and he was getting, at 4:30 in the afternoon, he was getting 40% of his electricity off solar panels that to me looked like they were in the shade.
Nice.
So no exaggeration. Reach out to Went Generators, Went Services, and you'll be glad you did. Uncle Mutt's Barbecue. Hang on, caller. We'll get right there. Uncle Mutt's Barbecue today. Brisket, ribs, sausage, chicken, ribs, turkey. They've got all the side dishes, everything you need. They're still doing drive-through to go. We went through on Sunday, and there was a line, and it was motivating. It was quick. Go by Uncle Mutt's. You can still do it for lunch. It's even better for dinner. Pick it up. They package it so well. You always worry about, am I going to get home and the sauce is going to be everywhere? Not a chance.
The risk is going to be
Guaranteed.
leaking. No, not going to happen.
They do a great job of taking care of that for you. So reach out to Uncle Mutt's today. And Gray Barn Design, you got a party coming up? You do have a party coming up. Everybody's going to want to throw a big reunion, get-together party when this is quote-unquote over or when we get over it.
One of the import shops in town is now selling COVID-shaped pinatas. Just put that in your mind.
There you go. 920-6803. The only reason to have a pinata is because you're going to have a party.
That's right.
Yep. There you go.
What do you fill a coronavirus shaped pinata with?
Antacid, hydrochloroquine. How about that?
There you go.
Hey, so we've got a caller. Let's check in. He's here, I
Or
think.
push that button.
There you
Hey,
go,
Jeff, how are you?
I just I was scanning the internet and saw where you guys approved. They called it a lifeline for the city. I just wanted to see what that lifeline was, and I thought I'd go straight to the source. Tell me what's happening out there, bud. The Dreamer Fund is not there. Dream Fund, Dreamsicle. Okay. Will you guys be able to track on an individual basis how these loans are being repaid? Yes, sir.
And
'Cause
how did the vote go yesterday in council on this?
Three of you took the correct position. I appreciate that.
Who were the two dissenting votes?
Him and Andrew. And that's fine. Well, I mean, if we're going to do something, this to me, just on the surface, based on the Cliffs Notes, is a better move than Lift Fund. But I do think.
But it appears to me that the money that is going to People Fund seems to be a little bit more upfront. Is that the case, or did I misunderstand that? They're taking their overhead is going to be covered by how much? What's their take on this? How much are they getting out of this? And maybe I misunderstood that. Okay.
My hope would be that since these are public dollars, that there is complete transparency. And if Wade and Carter gets 25 grand, I think the public should be made aware that Wade and Carter got 25 grand, so that if people want to support us and help us, they can as patrons. And then number two, I think it should be also reported to the public whether or not these folks repay their loans. Because it is possible that somebody could stay in business and not repay their loan. So I'd like to know. Yes, sir.
One other question I had on this was now, is this primarily to serve those who didn't qualify for the federal payment protection plan or program? Because that seemed to be.
You had to apply for it.
So conceivably, somebody could be double dipping and getting money from both systems then.
Could be. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. I applaud you guys for having the discussion. It did take 3 long weeks, but it was definitely better than the Lift Fund concept.
Yeah.
Seems like on the surface. And
I concur with you there.
I agree with you there too. Well, because we make the assumption that these are desperate times and they're just going to end. What if this virus hangs around for the next decade? I mean, we're going to do it again and again and again, and the next thing you know, everybody works for the city of Victoria. By the way, can you make a phone call for me today? I'm going to go ahead and throw this out to you because I know that it's not your job, it's not your responsibility, but I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Can you get a hold of the powers that be? Whoever that is, whether it's Jesus or on down to whoever takes care of it. It is unconscionable to me that the water station at the corner of Airline and Ben Jordan looks like crap all the time. If you go over there right now, the grass is going to seed. It's a foot tall, and it ain't because it's been raining. The trees look terrible. You got the oak trees. By the way, those oak trees right there at that corner probably need to be cut down, to be honest. But the other side of that is,
Oh, now you're an arborist.
yeah, all the little sucker limbs are coming out. They're hanging out over the road. It's just tragic looking. It's an ugly sight to begin with, but it's just terrible looking. Pulaski let it go for a decade. And I would love for somebody to go over there and say, hey, the city's got all these crews running around all day. Put this on an every 2-week loop and let's get this thing cleaned up. It's right in the middle of town. I'll meet you over there. I'll bring my weed eater. You got a blower?
I just need a long extension cord and I can bring my blower.
Jeff, true story. Yeah, we could run it over to the Magic Mart or whatever across the street. Just walk right in because the door's not there. But you know, Jeff, the truth is, I know you would. I mean that. I know you would go do that. I just got to figure there's got to be a mobile crew that's right in the middle. You're right there by College Heights and all that. They ought to clean that up on a regular basis. You're the man.
Good. Thanks, Jeff.
Hey,
appreciate
that
that call. Thanks.
Thank you, man. So that's you too, buddy. That's City Councilman Jeff Balknight. And really is, by the way, I'm joking with Jeff, and Jeff is not on the cleaning crew for the city of Victoria. But understand that all of our city council members, they're accessible to you. You can reach out to them with your concerns, and they can tell you who to call, and they're all good folks. So
that leads us kind of into the final
countdown.
Yeah. Well, you know, Dr. Fauci was testifying before the Senate yesterday.
That guy, the glow is coming off Dr. Fauci.
Kind of what you and I have been saying, and we're not
for only a month.
We're not virologists, immunologists. We don't work for the National Institute of Asthma and Allergies and whatever.
Right.
But
we did
basically, he just basically confirmed what we've been saying all along. We really have no clue. That's the Cliffiest Cliff Notes version of his testimony yesterday that I can give you.
Well,
we don't know.
We're going to do some vaccines, but we don't have any way to predict the efficacy of the vaccine.
It's a big word.
Yes. It's a pharmaceutical word, efficacy. But he basically said it's kind of like the crapshoot that you have with the flu vaccine. There's no guarantee that when we have a vaccine that it's going to work. And he pointed out that some of the vaccines that they've been toying with actually accentuate and accelerate the problems of the virus. So you may give it to somebody that may die.
Yeah.
They want 7.6 billion.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
So
let's think about this. Over the course of history, measles, smallpox, polio.
What about mumps? Do we have a mumps vaccine?
I think we did, but I don't know how efficient it is. My brother had the mumps, and I know we were vaccinated. My mom was diligent with that stuff. But that's it. Measles, smallpox, polio. Those are the vaccines we've developed that have been pretty much, and I had measles as a kid, so maybe my vaccine ran out. I don't know. But,
well, I asked you if I had a vaccine, and you told me that you thought maybe I was born before the vaccine.
I thought you were because you're much older than me. So I think maybe you were born before vaccines were around.
Well, my immune system is really good because I was around before pasteurized milk.
There you go.
You know, Louis Pasteur.
You and him ran together, didn't you?
Sure. I think he was a Scotsman.
Yeah,
I think he was Scottish.
And wasn't Jonas Salk your uncle?
Yes. Uncle Joe.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Banding and Best, they were chums of yours, weren't they? Before they went off and did the insulin thing?
Hulk?
No, the other one. Oh. Before they went off and did the insulin.
By the way, that great trivia mind right there to know that, to be able to do that.
A couple of Canadians.
Oh, that's
You learn that in school. It's like the first thing you learn after God Save the Queen and the national anthem.
For me, let's learn Canadian Hall of Fame. Fergie Jenkins, Terry Poole. The two dudes.
Wayne Gretzky's he was in right off.
He was from LA.
Gordie Howe.
Yeah, he was from
Then Banning and Best. And
those guys, you know, they claim the U.S. now as their American.
James Naismith.
Oh, now you can take basketball.
He was Canadian. Actually invented the game in Canada. Got no traction with it because you couldn't play it on skates very well.
Right. It was too cold. You know, true story, though. He was just trying to find something to do during the winter months when you couldn't play outside.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
In the gyms at the YMCA.
Peach basket and a six-pack, and the next thing you know, you had brought to you by Budweiser.
Wasn't quite smart enough to cut the bottom out of that peach basket, though.
No.
You had to go poke it with a broomstick.
That's right. They had it, and there was a
Yeah, I guess who used to come poke it with a broomstick? Mom, when she was in between sweeping the dirt floor.
John
Hey,
Candy.
Mom, the ball's in the basket again.
They also they used to have, just like you just said that, like the goal post or something like that. They had terms that were derived from that era. I don't remember. Some of them were from in basketball too, like that idea that you would call her the pole keeper or whatever. They was
Yeah.
for real. They had names that were out there back then.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
But I thought that was the biggest takeaway. So we've been listening to people that don't have a clue.
Was that old enough to have a smallpox vaccine? You're killing me, James. I don't think so. I've got one of those spots on my arm. I don't know what that's for.
I think that was a smallpox.
Yeah,
Wasn't it?
that's it.
I don't know. So that's where we are. We're listening to people that don't have a clue, and I'm not knocking them.
So are they. Those people they're listening to us.
Not true.
It's the circle of life.
But the ones that would have a clue on what shutting down the economy would do and the effect that we have, we didn't listen to them at all,
Right.
right?
But we're listening to Fauci say we have no
And
idea.
what did Biden
what's
say
gonna happen.
yesterday? That states need to listen to Fauci as they begin the reopening.
And then what's interesting also is they're blaming Trump for the shutdown of the economy. The states are the ones that shut down the economy. I mean, for better or worse, whether he was smart or not, you better look at a lot of this and look at Greg Abbott. Governor's the one that shut it down.
Yeah.
He's the one arresting salon ladies.
And again, I mean, I looked at the numbers over the weekend. Texas is testing people who are assume are positive, have symptoms. 486,000 people, I think, through the weekend were tested in the state of Texas. Snapshot of the 33 million that live here or whatever, right?
Right.
What, 1,700 people have died somewhere around? I mean, the number's somewhere close.
Out of 33 million.
But out of the 400,000 tested, it works out to a fatality rate of those that they assumed or that they thought might have had COVID, because our numbers are much lower than that actually have tested positive.
Right.
But of suspected cases that they went and tested, about 486,000 people. It turns out that if you take the percentage of those that have died from those they thought might have had it and needed a test, the fatality rate's 0.2%. That's right in line with the 0.1 to 0.3 in any given flu year so the average of a flu year is about 0.2% according to the Centers for Disease Control.
Right.
Low end it's 0.1, on a bad year it's 0.3, maybe 0.4. In Texas,
We're right.
it's
there.
0.2%. Yet we've shut the world down in Texas. We shut the entire world down for 0.02%, I think.
Yeah. How many people have died in Canada?
I don't know. I'd have to look at it. I haven't looked.
The reason I ask is the population of Canada is roughly the population of the state of Texas.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to see, geographically, Canadians are much more spread out, and they don't have any cities the size of Houston or Dallas or San Antonio even. I guess San Antonio's close. With
Toronto,
Calgary.
Vancouver,
Right.
Montreal. I mean, you're talking 4 to 3 million people. So yeah, there's three that.
4 to 3. It's Canadian.
Well, Toronto's the biggest city in Canada. They're about 4 or 5 million people.
Now,
I think Montreal and Vancouver are always kind of neck and neck for number 2.
Is it, when you live there, is it Toronto or is it Toronto? Be like
That's soft T on the back end.
Toronto.
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 No, first T's hard. You can't
Toronto.
get to Toronto without a T.
Toronto.
Toronto.
Because, people that live in San Francisco, they never call it Frisco. It ain't Frisco.
Or San
It's-
Fran.
No, it's SF or San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Diana Quinn checking in. And I guess that's the thing. I mean, I'm not trying to belittle it. We can take this thing seriously because there is a lot of unknown.
But are we going to take the flu as seriously this fall?
No, we don't.
We've got to shut down. No Super Bowl. It's flu season.
You know? But it's okay, 5,000 plus.
How many people you think would
Thank you, Johnny Houghton.
Thank you, Johnny. How many people do you think would just load up and say, Super Bowl, once in a lifetime deal, I'm going?
I think when this thing when we're allowed
I'm
to
going.
get back to life now, I think you're going to see people doing things they normally wouldn't have done, because I think this, if anything, this may have opened some eyes that life is a little more fragile, and it's not.
Can we rob a convenience store?
No.
We've never done it
We're not
before.
going to do that. Within reason.
Oh,
within
within reason. I wanted you to throw that in that disclaimer. Wade and Carter are not proponents of robbing convenience stores. Please drive safely.
Crime has got to be down though. I haven't really heard much of anything.
Well, it's hard to steal anything when you're at home because criminals always adhere to the stay-home order,
Don't they?
right? Did you see the Sylvester Turner in Houston? Please, just take a break from crime for a while.
Hey, if masks were so effective, I saw this meme yesterday and made me think, if masks were so effective, why do we let prisoners out of prison instead of just giving them masks?
Give them a mask. Well, you've got to let the prisoners out because of the COVID outbreak so you can put salon owners in.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
That's
I forgot
what you
about
gotta
it. We
do.
needed space for salon owners and others who
Isn't it funny
violated that.
how times that are trying, times when you need great leadership, so often expose the lack of great leadership. It's unbelievable how you have moments where you're needing someone to think rationally and they do the most irrational things because they're really just not qualified to be leading you. So lead yourself. Pay attention to yourself. Wash your own hands. Don't walk up and close talk strangers.
Don't speak moistly.
Don't speak moistly. Go subscribe to the YouTube page for us. You're taller on YouTube. Did you know
I
that?
noticed that.
You are.
You're shorter on YouTube.
Very slimming.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, folks, we
We're
got
outta
to get
here.
out of here. I hope you have a
We do.
great day, and I know Ash does too.